नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत, नारे हैदरी, जश्न ईद मिलादुन नबी, उलमाए अहले सुन्नत।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला सय्यिदिल मुरसलीन अम्मा बa'द फअऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. Please repeat after me. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Nabiyullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurullah. نويت السنة الاعتكاف. There are many blessings of reciting the Pak upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. I'm going to share with you a beautiful narration. A man, a companion of Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is brought to the court of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by two men. And they claim that he has stolen a camel. And they're testifying to this. But the person they bring, uska bhi kya aqeeda tha? He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're lying. Ask the camel and he will tell you the truth. Look at his aqeeda. He knew that the best of creation could communicate and speak to the camel. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam asks and the camel says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these two are munafiq. They are lying. He is my real owner. Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam then deals with those two people, but then turns to this beautiful companion and he says, tell me this, वो कौन सा ऐसा अमल है जो तू करता है जिसकी वजह से ऊंट ने तेरी गवाही दी? कि what special thing do you do which means that this camel has testified for you in my court? He says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's nothing other than this, that I continually recite Durood Pak. This recitation of Durood Pak is a great gift from Allah. It can deal with all your problems, all your calamities. लेकिन दिल में यकीन होना चाहिए कि दुरूद पाक is the answer to all my problems. और फिर आप जहाँ जाएंगे, Allah Azza wa Jall's mercy will follow you around. आप दुरूद पाक पढ़ते हैं, और हदीस में बात करें, you recite दुरूद पाक once, Allah Azza wa Jall sends 10 mercies upon you. Yes? Now think about it this way. What happens to that person who spends all his day reciting दुरूद पाक? काम पे जा रहा है, दुरूद पाक पढ़ रहा है, काम कर रहा है, मौका मिला दुरूद पाक पढ़ लिया, नमाज के बाद दुरूद पाक पढ़ लिया, घर जा रहा है दुरूद पाक, शाम को बैठा. What happens with that person? He's continuously gaining the mercy of Allah. But it's no wonder that जिधर भी वो जाता है कामयाबी उसके कदम छूटती है. सल्लू अलल हबीब सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. माशाल्लाह बड़ा मजा आ रहा था. हमारे नाथ खान पढ़ रहे थे. When they were reading the beautiful Quran to Shah-e Khuba, I was hoping Hafiz Sahib would read one of my favorite couplets, which was ke main tere husn o bayan ke sadke. Hafiz Sahib, share with me.
Tu Shah-e Khuba, tu jaane jana, tu Shah-e Khuba, tu jaane jana, hai chehra किताब तेरा न बन सकी है, न बन सकेगा, न बन सकी है, न बन सकेगा मिसाल तेरे जवाब तेरा. मैं तेरे हुस्नो बयां बारंग खुशबू दिलों पे उतरा, बारंग खुशबू दिलों में उतरा है कितना दिलकश खिताब तेरा, ना बन सकी है ना बन सकेगा मिसाल तेरी, जवाब तेरा.
Before I start my bayan, that couplet is so beautiful because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would speak a few beautiful words that would change the other person's heart. मैं तेरे हुस्ने बयां के सदके, मैं तेरी मीठी जुबान के सदके, बरंगे खुशबू दिलों में उतरी. We used to just penetrate the hearts. है कितना दिलकश खिताब तेरा, सुभान अल्लाह. Milad al-Pak is a great blessing of Allah. But today I want to look at it from a different angle. There's no doubt, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, but what we think, because of what people say, we think we're celebrating Milad al-Pak, and some people start to question it, have doubts in their mind. Today I want to take you right to the beginning. And I want you to concentrate, because this is going to help you, and I want you to pass it on to others. What does Milad mean? Effectively, it's birth, being born into the world. So when you have a gathering and you discuss the arrival of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I want you to concentrate. The arrival, the birth of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a mahfil milad. Why? Because milad means coming into the world. Now, the first mahfil milad, the glorious Quran, Surah Al Imran, tells us that Allah Azza wa Jalla gathered all the spirits of the Anbiya Ikram. And he said, if my beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes in your time, you will leave everything you're doing and you will obey him and you will help him. And because that involved the arrival of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the scholars write that this was effectively the first mahfil milad, and Allah Azza wa Jalla was the organizer. Now, then, this is the important thing. Hazrat Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, Hazrat Sayyidina Shita, all the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jalla, all came to guide mankind. Yeah? They came to deliver a message. They came to deliver a message, they came to guide. But every single one of them gave the glad tidings of the last and final message. Every single one of them said, okay, there will arrive in this world somebody who is going to be truly amazing. And when they talked about the arrival of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were talking about the milad of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that's the important thing that I want you to understand. Because Hazrat Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam says to his son, Hazrat Sayyidina Shita alayhi salam, that if you ever get stuck in life, there is one name that you can mention, and that is the name of the last and final messenger. All the prophets told their ummats about this. When it came to the greats like Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, what did he say? He said, Ya Allah, I've built this Kaaba. Ya Allah, I've done this amazing thing. And my dua is, I want the milad of this beloved Habib in my progeny. I want the beloved and last messenger to be born from my children. So he talks about the milad of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The greats of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he goes even further. What he says is, Ya Allah, he reads in the Torah about an ummah, jo neki ka irada kare, he will just think about a good, and Allah will write a good deed. If he thinks about bad, no bad deed is written. If he does a good deed, 10 good deeds are written. If he does a bad deed, then just one is written. So he says, Ya Allah, and it's a long hadith about it, but he says, Ya Allah, make that ummah my ummah. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, no, that is the ummah of my beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is going to come, the arrival of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam ne to kamali kar diya. What he says, he sat with his disciples, Jesus, he sat with his disciples, and what he says is, he's talking about the Shan of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the older versions of the Bible say the Comforter will come. The Comforter meaning the comfort to the world, Rahmatul lil Alamin, the mercy to the world. He gives the name Ahmad, it's in the glorious Quran as well. But then the scholars quote something amazing. This, the Hawariyun, his disciples, they say to him, this person you're talking about, you're amazing. Is he going to be even more amazing than you? And Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam says, if Isa the son of Maryam had the opportunity to tie his shoelaces, it would be a great honor and a great privilege. This is how amazing this Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But again, every single Nabi of Allah Azza wa Jal is talking about the milad of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the important concept I want you to go away with today. Not just the Nabis. It goes even further than that. For hundreds and thousands of years, everybody has been looking forward to the arrival of the last and final messenger and looking forward to the milad that today we're celebrating. Every single one. Tubbai Awwal, Hamiri. He is traveling with his entourage. Long story, I'll cut it short. He stops in a valley. He has about 3,000 scholars with him. He has a huge entourage, hundreds and thousands. And when they get up from there, the scholars say, we're not moving. He says, why? You're part of my entourage. They say, well, we, from the books, we know that there are certain signs for the last and final messenger, and we think that that place is here. That place is Medina Munawwara, by the way. We think that that place is here, so we're not going. He has a city built. He waits for Rasulullah for 1 year, and then leaves a letter for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which on the night of migration, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam receives at Quba Sharif. So thousands of years before, he'd already built a house for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam when they arrived in Medina Munawwara. Buraira Rahib, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam traveling to Syria, monks are placed in different places and priests waiting for the arrival of the last and final messenger. We've read this in the books, and we know that under a certain tree or under a certain stone, the last and final messenger will come. When the milad happens, that brilliant hasti will come. So people have been waiting for this milad part for centuries, hundreds and thousands of years. Hundreds and thousands of years. Now, since the milad part, Allahu Akbar. So amazing, Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam changes the face of the earth. Amazingly. Sahaba Ikram are gifted the keys to Jannah. Everybody, and even since the Milad, it's been celebrated for 1450 years. Don't let anybody tell you that it hasn't. And every year, it increases and increases, and the glorious ayat of the Quran says, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. This is what the Quran says. Allah Azza wa Jalla has raised this fame of the best of creation, and nobody can do anything to it. This is how amazing it is. The hukm for us is something amazing. You've been given a very unique gift, Pyare Islam Bhaiyo. You've been given something special. You've been made the ummati of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A lot of prophets, they prayed, Ya Allah, make us an ummati of your beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And today we are gifted with that. Humne kya karna hai? There's a beautiful couplet. Quwwat ishq se har past ko bala kar de. Dahar mein isme Muhammad se ujala kar de. Light up your lives and the worlds with the love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Pyare Islam, today I want to talk about the essence of Milad. What did Milad Pak do? So there's no doubt this has been happening for thousands of years. I mean, the scholars write that the name of Aka Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam was written on the Arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal 600 years before Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was created. So this is something that's carried on. But today I want to talk about it something different. I want to talk about what Milad did. Let me tell you a story. Two Arabs from two tribes. Quite big, quite powerful, a lot of men. They both decide to take their horses to a lake to drink water. Hot Arabian Peninsula, they both get there. And they get there about the same time. So one says, my horses are going first. The other one says, no, my horses are going first. A fight breaks out. They kill some of them, they kill some of them. Becomes enmity between the two clans. It lasted for 120 years. These were Arabs. They killed hundreds of them, they killed hundreds of theirs. 120 years it lasted for. That's my first story. Then, the second one. The father dies and leaves his inheritance. The sons, they split the inheritance. And then when it comes to the mother they go and sell her in the marketplace. Apni maa ko jaake bech aate hain. This was the position. They go and sell their own mother and come back, stand proud, we've got the inheritance. Third story. I want you to remember these two, I'm going to come back to them. The third story. There was a companion who came to the court of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are two waqiyat of my days of ignorance, which one when I think about, it makes me laugh. And the second I think about, it makes me cry. Can I share them with you? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives permission. He says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the days of ignorance, I used to travel for business. And I couldn't take the statue, the idol, with me. Itna bada but utha ke kahan le jata? So we used to make an idol out of flour. Aata dhoon ke na but bana lete. Jahan pe ibadat karni hoti, rakh ke ibadat kar lete. On one journey, our food ran out. And we thought, what are we going to do? So we started to break pieces off the idol and eat them. And when I think about it, I laugh. What we were worshipping, we suddenly broke off and started to eat because we had no food. How foolish were we worshipping things like that? And he goes, when I think about it, I laugh. But he says the second is such, Ya Rasulullah, when I think about it, I can't stop crying. He said, I left on a journey once, and my wife was expecting. When I returned after a few years, there was a young girl playing in my forecourt. My wife said, this is your daughter, she was born, you've been away, she's grown up. Now it was the tradition of the Arabs to bury their daughters alive. This is what they used to do. And you know the amazing thing, if you read the books, the scholars say, they used to stand proud. This was the mentality that you were dealing with. That you know, they're happy. They were proud of the fact that they buried their daughters alive. So he says, Ya Rasulullah, I see this girl, I see this daughter running about, and I'm thinking, I have to bury her. One day I told my wife to prepare her. I then said to her, we're going to a dawat. And I lead her out. And as I'm about to leave the house, my wife says to me, she knows exactly what's happening. And she says, oh man, fear Allah Azza wa Jal. But he says, my eyes were blind. It was a tradition of the Arabs. I had to bury her. I take her to the jungle. I start to dig a hole. And as I'm digging, my daughter is concerned for me. My father is sweating and she's helping me. Little does she know that I'm going to throw her into that very grave. When the grave is complete, I threw her in and I buried her, and I could still hear her screams. Ya Rasulullah, whenever I think of that, I can't stop crying. When he looks up, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam's beard Mubarak is full of tears as well. This was the halat of the world. Now let me take you after the Milad-e-Pak. People don't understand what this means. This was the greatest thing to happen in the entire universe. This was the one fact since the beginning of time to the end of time. This was the center point. Allah sent His Habib as a mercy to the world. It was the single greatest event. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bless the world. There is a battle going on. You remember the first story, don't you? There's a battle going on. 7 companions are injured. Arabs again, the same people. But something's changed. 7 of them, they're badly injured. They're about to die. Somebody rushes to them and says, here, water. And the first says, no, the second one needs it more than me. He goes to the second one and he says, the third is older. Go and give him the water. The third one says, the fourth had a more fierce battle. Go and give him. He sends him to the 5th. He sends him to the 6th. The 7th one says, I am too a devotee of that beloved Habib. Go back to the first. The narrator says, when I got back to the first one, his ruh had left his body. When I went to the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th, all of them had left this world, sacrificing the water for each other. I ask you, this is the true essence of Milad, where they fought for 120 years because of whose horse would drink water first. And the Milad changed these very same people to the ones who were on their deathbed but gave water to the next one. This is the essence of Milad. This is how Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam changed the world. Then, you remember those sons who sold their mother on the marketplace? This was the same society. But after Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's Milad Mubarak, these were the same people who were rushing to kiss their mother's feet. Because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you want to kiss the dahliz, the door of Jannah, the front of Jannah, go and kiss your mother's feet. These were the same people who were living their lives by what their mothers said, not selling them on marketplaces. Then the third. Our mothers should be first celebrating the Milad, because Islam gave our mothers, daughters and sisters so much honor and respect. Then, the daughters. In that Arab society where people were burying their daughters alive, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would stand up and greet Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, would kiss the forehead and sit them down, and taught the ummah how daughters should be treated, not buried alive, but how they were a great blessing of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the condition of these same Arabs, who used to bury their own daughters alive, became such. The Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, whoever raises 3 daughters and then marries them off, Jannah will be wajib for him. The companions, I want you to appreciate this next point, it's a very subtle point. Sahabai Karam Tashreef Farmaye, unme jazbaat hai. Somebody gets up and says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what if somebody only has 2 daughters? Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said it applies to him as well. And another one gets up, he says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what if only somebody has 1 daughter? And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, he gets Jannah as well. These are the same Arabs who were burying their daughters alive. What changed? The only thing that happened was the Milad of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is why this Milad isn't just about the celebrations. I can stand here and give you plenty of, riwayats to say these lights are beautiful. Hazrat Amina radiallahu ta'ala anha says, lights were shining everywhere. I could see the palaces of Syria. I can sit here and say these flags are there because our, Hazrat Amina radiallahu ta'ala anha says that just before Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam blessed this world, I saw Jibreel Amin come, get 1 flag on the east, 1 on the west and 1 on top of the Kaaba to signify that this Habib was going to rule the worlds. We've got all those rights. There's no doubt that this is a beautiful amal. You've all heard the story about Abu Lahab and how celebrating the Milad of his nephew got him relief in the grave, and he was a kafir. So this is all beautiful. But today I want you to understand the true essence of Milad. Milad-e-Pak happened to change people. Milad-e-Pak happened to bring you closer to Allah and His Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This was the essence, to change our characters. You understand? We need to do a firm oath today. Okay, Milad 2023 was a changing point in my life. We say, Qurrata aini ya Rasulullah. Meri aankhon ki thandak mere Habib mein. Yes? Doesn't it bring, when you mention Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, doesn't it bring peace and tranquility to your heart? Which sort of Ashiq Rasul is it who gets the opportunity to bring coolness to the eyes of the Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ki aankhon ko thandak de sakte hain aap. Lekin then turns away. Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, कि नमाज में मेरी आंखों की ठंडक है. Coolness of my eyes lies in salah. Your deeds are presented in the court of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallu alayhi wa sallam. Your deeds are presented in the court of the best of creation. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah Ta'ala ka karam hai, उम्मती के अमाल आका करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के सामने पेश होते. अब प्यारे साहब, जब नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम देखेंगे कि मेरे उम्मती, he can't even be bothered reading his tamam. He has time for social media and books and magazines, and yet he doesn't have time to read my greatest miracle, the glorious Quran. He copies the ways of the disbelievers, and he doesn't adopt my sunnahs. ये दाढ़ी मुबारक मेरे इश्क में दाढ़ी नहीं रख सकता, लेकिन फैशन के शौक में you can get cuts and this and that. तो फिर इस्लाम फिर ये दावा ही रह जाता है ना. We need to think about that. We celebrate the Milad-e-Pak because the Milad-e-Pak changed the world. How much have we changed, Pyare Islam Bhaiyo? How much are we willing to change? What are we willing to do? Pyare Islam Bhaiyo, आगे आगे तशरीफ है, पीछे काफी इस्लाम भाई, we fill the gaps. People are standing up at the back. आगे आगे तशरीफ है. There's big gaps here. थोड़ी थोड़ी आगे आगे तशरीफ है.
आगे के उधर जो लाइन के ऊपर बैठते हैं सब नमाज में बैठते हैं वैसे लाइन भी पानी के पास लेकिन तरीके का वॉश आगे पहले तो ज़्यादा चीज़ के बयान काफ़ी समय बाहर खड़े जगह नहीं इस्तेमाल वॉश आगे वाले पीछे हाजुल करेंगे अपनी आप सबको मदीना शरीफ वॉश
आमीन. Yes, what we've got to remember is that this Milad-e-Pak was here to change us. Milad-e-Pak का मकसद ये था कि आप सच बोलें. That's Milad-e-Pak का मकसद था कि आप गुस्से पे कंट्रोल करें. आप प्यार मोहब्बत से दूसरों के साथ पेश आएं. Today we make battlegrounds in our homes as well. घर में भी हमने मैदान जंगी बना रखा है. There's no love and affection, and we're always walking around like 10 men. That is not what Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught. The message of Milad was that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was a mercy to the world. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us how to deal with every situation in our lives. And today, we have to change that. The Sahaba Ikram were truly amazing. But in the love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they changed everything they had. Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala, he was a very courageous man. The kuffar actually brought him to put an end to Islam because of his bravery and his courage. And alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, he could not bear the beautiful face of Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and not read the kalima. And he basically accepted Islam, and it broke the back of the kuffar. Now this amazing personality, this is, I'm telling you what love should do to us. This amazing personality, he's so courageous, so intelligent and so brave that he rules 2.25 million square miles. The kings of the Roman and Persian empires and the emperors couldn't sleep at night at the very mention of his name. The shaitan would change its route if Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq went down a path. This is the person we're talking about. When it came to the love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahu Akbar, he was amazing. It was his time, he was Amirul Mu'mineen, and he used to make sure that everything was within its limits. So he told a few people off for encroaching into the streets. You know, sometimes you build a step or something into the street. He told a few people off. And people said, he's telling us off, but Hazrat Sayyidina Abbas radiyallahu anhu has a gutter which comes straight into the streets, and when it rains, that gutter splashes water on everybody. Why doesn't he go there? Umar is only telling us because we have no power. He hasn't got the so to speak, bottle to go to Hazrat Sayyidina Abbas radiyallahu anhu to remove the gutter. Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu anhu, being the great Umar, he hears this, so he goes to have a look, and he sees the gutter. He's on a camel, he grabs it, pulls it off. Hazrat Sayyidina Abbas is not at home. He says to those at home, he says, put this gutter on one of the other sides of the house, because on this side people are walking past and it's causing an inconvenience and it's encroaching into the pathway. Fine. He goes back. Hazrat Abbas comes out. The people gather round. I say, you know what happened today? He said, yes. He said, Umar came. Yes. He took down the gutter and he said, put it on some other side. Don't put it on this side. Hazrat Sayyidina Abbas smiles. And he says, Chalo. Umar is taking it off. Umar will put it back on. They said, what? Umar put it back on? Umar is so courageous and brave. He's ruling all over this land. People hundreds of miles away can't sleep because of his robe and dabdaba, because of who he is. And you say, Umar's going to come. We'd like to see that one. He says, just watch. Umar will come and replace it. He goes to Masjid for namaz. Sayyidina Umar Farooq is there, Hazrat Abbas is there, he doesn't say anything. Hazrat Umar himself says, Hazrat, this was the majra, it was disturbing people, and I removed it. And we shouldn't be doing this. Hazrat Sayyidina Abbas said, Umar, I know it was disturbing people. मुझे पता था कि बंदों को तकलीफ होती है उससे. I knew it was encroaching as well. लेकिन एक मजबूरी थी जिसके तहत मैं उतार नहीं सकता. He says, what is that? He said, when I was building my house, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam walked past. And Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Chacha, can I help you with your house? And they took that Parnala Mubarak and they put it on. And so it was put on by the hands of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Many times I thought, should I take it off? But I didn't have the guts and the courage to touch it because my beloved Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had put it there. But now that you've taken it off, it's done, it's over and done with. When he looks up, Sayyidina Umar Farooq is already crying. He grips him by the arm and he says, come on, let's go back. He said, Umar, it's done. He says, no, it's not done. Takes him back to where the gutta was. And he says, first time I was on a camel. Now, Hazrat Abbas, he says to him, climb on my shoulders and replace it and put it back where the beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam put it. The love that these people had for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam was amazing. But that love wasn't just in the zuban, wasn't just in the talk. Every action they did was fully submerged in the love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The essence of Milad Pak and us celebrating this Pyare Islam Bhai was this. Banda soche, it was, September 2023. I was in a Mehfil Milad and I made the intention that I'm going to decorate my face with a beard in the love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Niyat kar le aaj. Jiski daadi nahi hai, niyat kar le. If the entire town of Rochdale had a beard, you'd be forced to keep it. You think, I'm the odd one out. Forget the town, just look at Medina. Just look at Medina. Then, September 2023, I hadn't read the Quran before, but at the Milad Mehfil, I made the intention to read the glorious Quran. English translation, Tafsir Siraj al-Jinan, Urdu translation. I made the intention and I read the glorious Quran within 3 months, 6 months of September 2023. That was the change that the Milad of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought to my life. I travelled in the Madani Kafilas of Dawat-e-Islami and I learned the sunnats of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when I made the intention in the Mehfil Milad, because Milad was here to change everybody. Pyare Islam Bhaiyo, apne aap ko badle. Milad, the message of Milad is that we need to come closer to Allah and His Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We need to make sure that that love of Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam comes out. Allah Hazrat ne kaha tha na, jaan hai ishq Mustafa, roz fazul kare khuda, jisko ho dard ka maza jaze dawa uthaye ki. This pain of love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam needs to come out. But the way it needs to come out is by you acting upon the beautiful sunnahs of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because by thake kha ke na, we chase money, we do this, properties and everything else. Kuch nahi banega. Look at those older than you, what have they achieved? That's what we're doing. When we're away from the deen and the teachings of Nabi Kareem, hum gali gali dhakke kha rahe hain. Dil ko jo aql de khuda, teri gali se jayegi. If the heart had intellect, what would you do? You'd stick to the path to success, which is the street to Madinatul Munawwarah. Pyare Islam Bhaiyo, Milad Pak is a time to renew our oath of allegiance in the court of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aka Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke saath itna rabta hona chahiye yaar कि बंदा ये सोचे कि यार गुनाह का काम है लेकिन मेरे हबीब नाराज ना हो जाए. And you stay away from it. There was a companion of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they sent a woman to seduce him. And she sat there semi-naked all night. And he kept reading Nafal. In the morning she says, "Tu insaan hai ki kya cheez hai? Main puri raat baiti rahi, you didn't even once look at me." And he said, "Ke ab unki nigahon se ke baad jista nahi koi. Ab meri nigahon mein jista nahi koi." Once I've seen the beautiful face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you could do whatever you want. Nothing in this world can change. Guys, sometimes, especially the youngsters, the youngsters, sometimes you think, where can I get the strength to stay away from the wrong company? Where can I get the strength to stay away from drugs, to stay away from clubbing or the wrong thing or watching the wrong thing on the internet? Guys, you can try different theories, but the one thing that will make you successful is the true love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. दुरूद पाक कसरत के साथ पढ़े, नबी के उलमाए किराम से नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की बातें सुने, अपने दिल में उस इश्क़ रसूल को बढ़ाएं, increase it, and the more it increases, the more your life will become beautiful, and the more your affairs will go in the way that you want to, and कब्र भी आपकी जन्नत का बाग होगी, और क़यामत के दिन सुभान अल्लाह you will be under the flag of नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. यहाँ भी हम झंडे लहराते हैं, इंशाअल्लाह वहाँ भी मिलाद पाक के झंडे लहराते जाएंगे इंशाअल्लाह. अल्लाह ताला सबको मिलाद की खुशियाँ अता फरमाए. आमीन बिजाहि नबी अमीन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. सल्लू अलल हबीब सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम.